I want to buy a Tesla truck.
Okay.
And wrap it with Paragon stuff. Budget's not an option for this thing. We're going to throw caution to the wind. It's all about faith that we're going to increase our business by 400%.
I actually have no words.
What about the truck or the wrapping?
Mainly about the truck, if I'm being honest.
But doesn't that truck draw attention?
Yeah, but not always in a good way.
So we're not going to do that.
I'm not sure if that's in the budget and strategy for next year. Doesn't fit into
our budget. All right, that's fine. Well, we are going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about budgeting today on this episode of the Main Street Marketing Podcast. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Hey everyone, I'm Skip Branke.
And Emma Opperman Vogt.
And this is the Main Street Marketing Podcast where we talk about
anything and everything marketing. I was going to roll with it.
Well, I said her line. But today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about budgeting for what?
I thought we were going to redo that.
Let's just roll with it. What the hell? This is not the normal podcast. We are just really discombobulated. This is Nate's out in the field and I had to put this together. We get what we get on this one.
Okay.
So, but we are seriously going to talk about budgeting though, because it's September and the new year is right around the corner. I mean, look how fast this freaking year came through. So we got to talk about budgeting because that's something that many business people, especially small business people, don't really lean into that much.
Yeah. Well, let's start with why budgeting and really just planning in general matters. Why is it important?
Well, I mean, from a cash flow perspective, you have to know, what's going on with your business. I mean, there's so many people that just go day to day, accounts receivable or check to check that they don't plan for, their cash flow for those unforeseen things that happen. But it also comes into the marketing side of things.
Well, and I think most business owners have their goals, and sometimes they're so deep into it they don't realize how the marketing and their marketing budget can impact those goals. Mm-hmm. And so I think it already ties together in just general planning people do every year. Yeah. It's just taking time to designate to focus on marketing.
Most business owners don't like talking about it though. Well, they do. I mean, they know in the back part of their mind that they have to do it. But I think that it's just one of those exercises that I will tell you, you see me during budget time. I'm pretty intense when it comes to budget time because you're looking at your business, you're looking at all the numbers. But a lot of guys, a lot of people, they don't like to do it. Mm-hmm. It's not that they don't know how. It's for whatever reason, sometimes it just takes a back seat.
Yeah. Well, I think you often see that, when the economy changes and for different businesses and those in different industries, when money gets tight, marketing is the first thing that gets cut.
Always.
But really, when you think about it, the businesses that continue to invest in marketing, and maybe not the same level of investment, but those businesses that continue to invest are the ones that have long-term success.
Well, look what happened in COVID. Mm-hmm. Look how many people that we were working with, we said, you're not stopping. Mm-hmm. And that's where they wanted to run. They said, we got to cut back. Things aren't going to happen. We're not going to have the same amount of jobs and so on and so forth. And we said, look, you can't cut. You're out there all the time. People see you. The minute you stop advertising, you lose top of mind. Mm-hmm. And if your competitors are continually marketing or they increase, you fall by the wayside.
Well, if business is down, typically the best way to get more business is through marketing.
You're right.
Like it's just a backwards way. Sometimes people think about that.
Yeah, it is. That's a very good point. But
I also think, too, that to change along those lines, changing the mindset of marketing is not an expense. It's an investment.
Yes, that is 100%. That's a very good statement. And there's many people look at it as, that's just money I'm wasting. Mm-hmm. Because they didn't do the planning. And they don't tie the new business or inquiries or emails or contact forms or phone calls, whatever it is. They don't ask the question, where did you hear about me? Mm-hmm. Or where did you see it? There are some things you can't tie marketing dollars to all the time. Like if you throw a TV ad out there, unless you have like a promo code or something like that, yeah, you can probably tie that immediate ROI back. But if you happen to just be throwing out like whatever. I mean, if you don't ask that question, if the TV ad doesn't have that, you got to ask them, where did you hear about us? And everyone's going to say Google, or I searched you out. Well, did you really? Was that really where you saw it? Was that the first touch point? Was it you saw a social media post? Did you hear us on? If you were running radio, did you hear us on the radio?
And you're never gonna know the exact answer, but that's why the data and the impressions that's always important.
Yeah, and I think on a bell-shaped curve, I mean, I think you kind of have to leave the outer 5 or 10s to be those unknowns, but count on the middle part.
Right.
Count on the meat of the curve as to where you're gonna make your plannings from. But the other thing when you talk about marketing though is how much do you set aside?
Yeah. What is? I know there's no magic number, but generally speaking, every business is different. But is there some guideline on how much to budget?
We budget 8.
8%.
8% of gross revenue is what my expected gross revenue is. I leave it 8%. Now, that number is movable as things happen. So you bring in more revenue than what you're thinking of or you're planning on. Do you take it to 10? Sure. Or do you say, you know what, based upon staffing where you are, we can't advertise anymore. We can't bring on more business for another 2 months. Do you pull back and you lower your percentage? So that the number is always going to move, but you have to have a number. 2% is too low, I think. And, 10% maybe too high. I think most of the businesses that we work with are between 5 and 7. 8 is usually a pushy number. That's usually that. But every business is different based upon their overhead. Some might have more employees that they have to take into account because maybe health insurance costs go up. There's all different kinds. That's why it's important to sit down and look at it, because you just don't know.
So let's talk about the aspects that go into a marketing budget. I think sometimes there's things people throw in, like my computers, that's part of my marketing budget, right? The technology. Not necessarily, but then there's things that people forget, like sponsorships in the community. That is marketing. Yeah,
that's a very good point. I think a lot of people don't pull those, and they look at those as charitable.
Yeah.
Or they look at them but that's really not. It is part of, because if people see, I look at it this way: anywhere where somebody would see your logo or your business name is marketing.
Right. You kind of like have the foundation. You have your website, the different costs associated with that. Like
your
probably
shirts.
your branding, your apparel. Then you have like the creatives, like the video, the design,
emails.
You probably have software, right? Because you have to pay for the email software.
Yep.
Maybe some people, I don't know, might group their CRM into marketing.
Well, they would if they use the forms as or the forms as lead gen that goes into their CRM. Right. They might wrap that up. I would caution against that, because that being that's it's a software. I think
and sometimes that's a foundation of your business in general. Like
we would, because our forms are lead gen forms, and we part that as part of our marketing. I mean, so I don't allocate. I wonder if I should change my budget, because I don't allocate.
Don't open up that can of worms.
Just open up. I got to think. Now I had something else, but I mean, seriously, it's that really is going to make me think next year for that. That's not what I needed right now. But no, it is something that they have to take a look at. But I mean, really, like anything, your shirts,
your ad spend.
Your
I think
Tesla
that's the
truck
biggest
that we're going to buy.
Thing that sometimes people are like, "Oh, my marketing is just my ad spend." There's way more than your ad spend.
That's for sure. But I do know a lot of people don't count their clothing. Not
I would
suits,
imagine that it can be hard to budget for marketing, especially these small businesses that have probably 10 vendors that fit underneath that, right? They maybe have their radio person, they have their apparel person, their printing person, their web person, a different person for video, maybe a different person that does their Google ads. Like, I can't imagine that overwhelming world if you are in a position where you have all those vendors.
Yeah, that is kind of dumb. I think the best thing I was talking with somebody last week, and we were talking about budgeting, because we were looking at, okay, what are we going to do next year? Because right now they're actually maxed out for the year. They can't take any more business, which is a good problem to have. I mean,
and to acknowledge that you're in that position.
Yeah, and then so to be at that and to say, look, let's start looking at what we need to do for next year. All right, so now we're already thinking 2026 and starting where we're going to start, what we're going to do, what areas we're going to hit. But I said the best thing you can do is, he says, but I got all these other things. I said, write them down.
Yeah.
I mean, get a whiteboard, sit down, write down all the vendors and who you do it with. And then we can take a look at it and says, well, I don't want to have to contact 10 different people. What can you guys do where I can consolidate some services? Now, there's some things we just don't do.
Yeah.
And that's not going to work. Can we help them find somebody and run it through us? Yeah. But that's
right.
not
But there usually still is a way to consolidate that.
Yeah, in some way, shape, or form. But I said just write it all down and get an idea where you're going to do and how much, and then look at how much money you spent this year on that item.
Yeah.
And based upon your goals next year, how much you're going to have to spend in order to get there.
I think that's the biggest thing is the goals. And those can change throughout the year, right? We have some companies where they're off seasons about brand awareness and, you know, they're maybe more a seasonal company, and in season is lead generation.
It's lead gen.
And I think it's so important to know what those goals are and throughout the year, how you're allocating your budget to meet those specific goals.
Yeah, and but then tracking it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the other thing. I mean, there are some, I've run into this on numerous occasions over the last 15 years, where somebody had said, oh, I spent that much in marketing? Holy hell. It's like, you don't, what do you mean you don't look at it? He said, I look at it at the end of the year. I'm like, wow. I mean, how can you do that? I mean, but they're just go.
Well, I think that goes into, you need a strategy and you have to plan it, but you have to be willing to pivot on that strategy. And I think there's so many people, so many small businesses that maybe are working with a vendor to do this, and they're really headstrong into what they're doing and they're not willing to pivot. Like, think about how much technology has changed. Right? And not to say you tweak your plan every 30 days because there's something new and shiny. But if you're doing something for 6 months and it's clearly not working, you have to be able to pivot strategies.
But how many people throw money at the new shiny quarter and they piss it away? And there's the money's gone.
But I think those are often people that never had a plan to begin with.
Yeah.
Their plan was to follow the shiny quarter.
Well, I mean, let's face it. I'm a shiny quarter guy.
That's why you have a team of people to keep you in line.
You keep me grounded. But I mean, how many times did I have, what did you say? How many video cameras do you own? How many
No,
cards
I think it was more
have?
like the software. Like you find video software, that's just your jam. You find video software and you just do the free trial and then you don't cancel it.
Oh yeah, what did we do? Was that last year or 2 years ago? We went through and said, what are all these charges?
What are these charges?
These softwares? I don't use that anymore. Why did you get rid of it? I might use it sometime. I'm the worst person when it comes to that. But there are a lot of people that just don't ever check it.
Right.
And so you don't want to be in that position.
Yes.
Because once that money, like you say, once that money's gone, you hope to hell you get it back some way, shape, or form, and maybe it might not come back if you keep throwing it out there.
So speaking of the shiny quarter, so what are some things that people, maybe they're not new, right, but just strategies that people definitely should be considering for next year?
Generative engine optimization. That's, if for those that don't know what that is, it's GEO, but it's AI generated searches. So if somebody is not searching Google, they're going out and they're going to search ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, or whatever, and they're saying, what's the best small business marketing firm in Wisconsin? Give me the top 5, and then what AI is going to go out there is they're going to go out there and look for the short content. They're going to find it. And they're going to report on what they uncover, and that's there's a strategy behind that.
A different take on SEO.
It's really a different take on SEO completely.
Not to replace it.
Not completely. I shouldn't say that. It's not a different strategy completely. It's an alternative way of doing it. SEO is not dead. It's fading little by little. You can see it by the Google numbers and the searches. I mean, where they've dropped from the perspective of I think they got below 90% search. Was that last month or the month before? Of the market share for searches. So it is coming down because of that. I don't think it's ever going to go away. So you have to do 2 things now. 3 things, because you also have answer engine optimization.
The voice search.
Alexa, Siri. So now you have to optimize your content on your website, your social, everywhere you're putting it to meet that need. So it's no longer really just the keywords and the phrases and things, how you structure your website. It's the other 15 other things that have to be done that a business owner is not going to have the opportunity to take care of. Or not going to have the opportunity, but they're just not going to have that time to learn.
The knowledge to learn. And I'm sure that's something that we're going to have to stay up to date every month. That's always going to be changing.
It changed in the matter of 3 weeks from when, from 3 weeks ago we talked about it. It's changed a little bit already. So, yeah, that's one strategy that has to be implemented.
I think it's shocking, too, how many businesses aren't using the short form video content, right? Like, you think about we live in the world of TikTok and Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and there are a lot of businesses that are not tapping into that, or when they're tapping into that, it isn't personalized content, right? It could be stock video that they're using rather than personal content that makes businesses relatable. I love to pull up the Quick Trip social media pages.
Oh, that's great.
Right? Like, I can picture right now their marketing team because they're in those videos. Like, they give you behind the scenes takes on things. And I think that maybe not for every business, but for a lot of businesses, that's so crucial to kind of like open the curtains so people can see what's happening in the business, show your culture and who you are and what you believe in through short form video.
And I think what that does when the day is done, though, is people by people. And if you're stale, you're stiff, you're running the same stuff, and you're not changing it up, your competitors are. They're not going to know who you are.
Just give some personality to your brand.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the other things that I noticed this year, or that I think that people need to start looking at, is emails, like some automation on emails. Or just starting to use email in general. I mean, how many people have we talked to this year that don't do emails? I'm like, I can't believe it.
Right. And I think your monthly or your quarterly newsletter is kind of going out and user specific content is coming in, right? You have email lists, you can segment them, who, maybe it's someone that does commercial and residential services. You're not sending the same message to both of those audiences.
Right. And that's really something that is, I don't want to say it's not wasteful, but it kind of is, because if you're sending one email out to everybody, it's falling on deaf ears. Then what's going to happen if you're sending stuff that's not relevant to them?
They're not going to open it.
Unsubscribed.
Right.
And then you're losing your audience. But that's an immediate amount of people that you can touch. But a lot of people, like you say, they don't take the time to segment it.
Right. And you think about automation, especially in like retail product sales. I mean, such a missed opportunity if you're not automatically sending emails for them to leave a review, or, you left your cart without checking out, or you haven't made a purchase in 60 days. Here's a coupon. Like, such a missed opportunity if you're not using those automations.
And when you talk about automation, I'm going to kind of jump back on something else from AI, though, is like there's a lot of more and more people are implementing the AI like answer bots or chat bots, or
like for customer service.
Yeah, it's more and more people are adding that. We tested it on our phones just to see what it would be like. It was pretty interesting. We're not at that level. I think it's more for, maybe for some larger companies, or if they're in the field or they're not in the office. I think that really will help. But it was interesting how fast that AI bot or what they call it, the AI assistant, not the secretary, the AI assistant, how fast it learned about us and what we do and how we do things. It was kind of scary. But I could see that as we continue to grow and we get larger, and if we're out of the office, we're at a convention or whatever, those tools could really help businesses. So I think that's another strategy I think people are going to start looking at.
And I think just a few episodes ago we talked about this, is having data portals and looking at the data. And you already mentioned this, right? Look at the data, know what you're spending, where you're spending it, if it's working, just using your data. And
not waiting too long to make a decision. I mean, so you almost kind of have to be, I can't remember where I heard this, when you're in state, or you're in the moment and you're looking. I was Tony Robbins when I was at that at his Build a Business Mastery. If you're looking at something, you're making decisions, and all of a sudden you look at all this stuff and you're in that moment and you're in that state, make your decision and do it. Don't sit and wait on it, because chances are you may forget about it, and then that moment's gone, and then you could be wasting more money. So if you see that you have to do something, make the decision and do it. Right. Whether it's to continue to do it, add more to it, or stop it all entirely. That's if it doesn't align with your why, it doesn't align with your culture, it doesn't align with where you're going, don't do it.
Right. I think bottom line is, yes, there's all these new strategies, or new, improved, some of the same strategies, but it's so important to not just copy paste the budget from last year, do the same things, right? Analyze that. The way people are consuming information is changing, so the marketing budget and strategy has to change and evolve.
Yeah, and we talked, I don't remember where we talked about this. It might have been last year, maybe it was at the end of the year last year. But it is testing and measuring. Don't be afraid to not try new things or new approaches. Because there is never success without failure. And I say this to people here, I say it to my kids, I say it to everybody. I mean, you cannot be afraid to fail. Just don't fail massively. But by not trying something, you're never going to know if it works. Just like that's why getting into business, you're never going to know if it's going to succeed if you don't try.
Right.
So, I don't like making mistakes. I mean, nobody does, but don't be afraid of them.
Yeah.
And if it's out of your comfort zone, get with somebody who does understand it and work with them. Don't be afraid to bring somebody, and you don't have to. That's what I tell business owners. You do not have to do it all by yourself. Because it could take you 50 hours to learn how to do something where somebody could get it done in an hour.
Right.
Don't spend the time. That's a waste of money.
I think you're leading right into our final section here is biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to their budget for marketing.
Not paying attention.
Right.
Biggest one. Not paying attention. Trying to take on too much of their own on their own.
I think too, you see a lot of times people like they do all their budget, and marketing is always I shouldn't say always, for a lot of businesses, because it's just such a daunting task. It's on the bottom of the totem pole. So basically they just take their leftover budget and make that their marketing budget.
And not everybody makes it the bottom rung of the ladder, but when you are a smaller business and you are the accountant, the customer service, the installer, and you got a couple other people doing that, it does become the bottom rung. But if you're trying, then they sit down, you got these 2 hours in the afternoon or 2 hours in the evening to do your marketing, do your social posts. Oh, I got to look at my Google ad spend. It happened again. I talked to somebody 2 months ago. They wanted $10 a day, and they put $100 a day, and that's a massive mistake. Ouch. Yeah, think if they were doing $100 to $1,000 a day, what that could do. That one number, 10, could put them out of business.
Right.
So it's getting with somebody who knows what they're doing. And again, you talked about it before though as well, the data.
Yes.
The answers for what you have are in the data, and having the right things connected to get the data.
True.
There's so many people that don't have they don't have a Google Search Console. They don't have the Google Analytics connected. They said, well, I was with this other company. They had their own analytics portal. No, maybe they did, but get your Google Analytics. Get it all in one spot. Take a look at it.
Yeah.
That's you can make so many educated decisions by looking at the data.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I think another big one too is not investing money in just one channel, right?
Yeah.
Diversifying your marketing, so you're making sure, not that you have to do everything, or should you do everything, because that's not where your target audience is.
Yeah, it might not be the right spot.
But most likely, just investing in one channel is not going to do it for you.
Yeah, it's not always, you always hear out there, well, I got to be on Facebook. Is it the right space for you to be? If you're going after people that are, 25, 24 to 30, they may not be on Facebook. They're probably not. They may be there like twice a month to send pictures of, of their kids to grandmas and grandpas.
Right.
But that's not where they're spending their time. So that goes back to that goes back to the video, rolling that out there and putting yourself in front of people where they're at, not where you think they're at. So that's part of the education process, which is what we do all the time here.
Right.
This is why we do what we do on this, is to educate people about the things that we see on a daily basis that you may not see. And that's why we do the podcast. That's why we have Main Street Marketing, because we want to educate everybody as much as, even if they're not our clients. I mean, we want to educate people so you can make the right decisions and avoid the mistakes that we see people make.
Right. Make the educated decisions.
Some are really, and that's our big takeaway from what we do, and that's why we do this. Like I say, is because we see so much with our clients, prospective clients, the forums that we're in, people that we talk to, and the organizations and the networking we do. We just hear so much. And it's heartbreaking sometimes when you hear people make those $30,000 mistakes. You're like, holy shit, that's just a lot of money. But it happens, So get with somebody like us, because we know we talk about it. We talk about it. We eat it. We breathe it. We chew it up every single day. All right, well, this has been the Main Street Marketing Podcast. Thanks for sticking around with us today and working with this setup that I did. It won't be like this next month, I promise. We got a really good podcast coming up next month with a really smart individual. We're going to talk about storytelling in your marketing, which is going to be pretty cool. She's awesome. You're going to love having a conversation with her. She's really cool. So I'm Skip Ranke.
I'm Emma Opperman-Vogt.
And thanks for watching the Main Street Marketing Podcast.
You can find it on anywhere you listen to or watch your podcast.
See you later.